also use olive oil. Topic that we got a request for. I think it's always surprising. Thanks for the great questions, you guys. Thank you, Sandy. Looks good, doesn't it? I want to hear from you guys. This is the show for you. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's so good. So many wonderful people on tonight. Thank you guys for being here. Hi everyone, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen tonight. I'm very excited to be sharing this recipe with you. Again, tonight what we're making, pan-seared salmon with spring pea sauce and arugula. We're channeling all of these wonderful spring seasonal flavors, and I know today in Peoria it doesn't really feel like spring. It did yesterday, and I'm sure it'll come back. But this is going to be a nice warm meal to, like I said, touch on those nice spring flavors. The peas are a spring vegetable, and so is the arugula. So if you are cooking with me tonight, hopefully you have had time to get all of your ingredients out. If not, go ahead and quickly get those out. We're going to get this started. So the first thing that we're going to make tonight is going to be the pea sauce or the pea puree. Like I said, I'm going to be using frozen peas. If you were able to find fresh peas at your grocery store, hopefully they came shucked so that you just have the little pea in the middle. We're going to use about 2.5 cups of those. We're going to cook them down with some aromatics, and that's going to be our onion and garlic. So let's go ahead and get that out, and we're going to start chopping up our onion and garlic. We're going to do half of this onion. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, my onion's pretty big, so I'm just going to do about 1/4 of it. What we want to shoot for is getting about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of minced onion. So, like I said, I'm cutting mine into quarters, and we're going to go ahead and just slice off both ends here and kind of get that peel off, that papery thin skin around. Hey Lisa, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. Lisa's saying, looking forward to cooking salmon with Ashley. Are you cooking with me tonight? Let me know. It's very exciting. Hi Krista. Thanks for joining, and thanks for tagging Diana. Diana must be a cook who's trying to cook in healthy ways. So yeah, if you have friends who are trying to cook healthier, definitely tag them. Let them know that this show is available. I'm here every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Central, always cooking up something healthy. It's always delicious. Okay, I'm just running my knife through these. We're going to end up pureeing everything, so it doesn't really matter what your chunks of onion look like. Just get them relatively small. Okay, the next thing is garlic. You can do anywhere from 3 to 5 cloves, depending on how much you love garlic. And because we're cooking this garlic, it's not going to be too strong of a flavor. So if you're looking at me like, oh my gosh, you're using 5 or 6 cloves of garlic, that's a lot. That's going to be way too garlicky. When you cook garlic, it tames down the flavor, so it's not as strong, and it gets a little sweeter. Oh, Lisa said, yes, cooking along. Awesome. And your sister is too, but she had a meeting at 6 and we'll make this at 7. Yay. Thanks for the support, Lisa. Love seeing you guys cooking at home. I know you love salmon too. All right. So let's get these cloves all minced up. Careful not to cut your finger, which I almost did just then. Wouldn't that be an exciting event on the show? We'd have to cut it short so I could go to the emergency room, or we could just follow along. You could follow my mishap to the ER. That might be fun. Again, we're going to puree this, so just get your garlic pieces roughly minced, and then we're going to go ahead and throw them in the pot. So let's go over to the stove real quick. We'll add a little bit of olive oil into the pot that you have. If you saw the list with the ingredients that we needed, you'll see that there was a pot there. And so this is what we're going to cook the peas and the onions and garlic in. Has anybody ever made a pea puree or a pea sauce? I feel like peas are kind of a hit or miss thing. You love them or you hate them. There's really no in between. So hopefully I've attracted all of the pea lovers tonight. My husband is not very fond of peas, but if I flavor them well, he'll eat them. So I'm thinking that tonight is going to be a good way for him to eat them. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and get these onions and garlic into that pot. We'll start them sauteing. We'll add a little bit of salt and pepper to them. So go ahead and sprinkle in a little bit of salt and pepper. And go ahead and get your peas next to the stove and your stock, whether that's chicken stock, veggie stock, whatever you're using. Hey, Lindsay, you're in Chicago. I thought you were, oh, are you still en route to California? Lisa is saying I only like frozen or fresh peas. Oh yeah, no canned peas. Ugh, I can't stand canned peas. It's almost like they trap all of their gassiness in there, and when you open up the can of peas, it just smells really bad. Not a fan either. Not as much nutrition in there either. So fresh or frozen, that's the way to go. Okay, I'm gonna bring my peas over there and my stock. I'm using a base. This is oftentimes what I like to use at home. It allows me to control the flavor a little bit more. And what I'll do is just put a little scoop of this in with the peas while they're cooking, and then I'll add my water to it so that it kind of makes a stock in while it's cooking. You can buy that at most grocery stores. All right, I can start to hear this sizzle. We're going to get some salt and pepper in here. A little bit of pepper. And at this point, you could also add some herbs if you wanted to. I like to, if you've never made this before, I say make it pretty plain Jane. Just do salt and pepper and then taste it. And then next time you make it, you can experiment with some more flavors. Maybe some oregano, maybe some basil. Basil would be nice, especially during the summer. So we're just going to cook these for another minute or so, and then we'll throw our peas in. And like I said, we're going to do about 2.5 cups. And I'm going to get my peas into a measuring cup here so I can see exactly how much I'm using. These are 12-ounce bags, I believe. So that's a little more than 2 cups, but not quite 2.5. So I'm going to pour a little extra in there. All right, so now go ahead and pour your peas in. Whoop, pea on the floor. Kiki got it. All right, and then get my other 1/2 cup in there. All right, looks good. And the peas are going to release some water themselves. So let's start with just about 1/4 cup of stock. And we'll let that cook down a little bit. So again, I'm going to use my trusty chicken stock, or base rather. I need to grab a spoon here. And I'm just going to put about 1 teaspoon in. And then if I need a little bit more flavor, if I want to make it a little bit more concentrated or a little stronger, I can add a little bit more at the end. Okay, so now I'm going to add my water to make this stock. And I'm using this water because we're on a boil watch right now, so I can't use any faucet water. But normally I would just use the faucet water. So because we're pureeing these peas, it's really important not to put too much water in, because then when you blend it up, it could become really soupy and thin and kind of watery. And we want to avoid that. We want to make a nice thick, creamy sauce. So start with a little bit of liquid and then add more as you need it. I've made that mistake so many times. Like with butternut squash soup, I've definitely added too much water with that, and then I've pureed everything and it's just like a soupy, watery mess. Not fun. Okay, so we're gonna let these cook down a little bit. And since the peas are cooked, technically, you don't really need to cook them too long. We do want that garlic and onion flavor, though, to kind of come out of each piece and really absorb into the pea itself. So we'll put a lid on that, let it hang out for a minute, and then we'll come back over here to the cutting board. Hey Janet, hello from Colorado. Good to see you on. I hope you're doing well. Lindsay is saying she's en route just for a layover at the Midway Airport. Sorry about the dogs. There's no keeping them quiet unless we lock them in the basement. I don't really want to do that because they help clean the floor whenever I drop food on it. Lindsay is saying not quite the same, but I'm snacking on snap peas right now. It's similar. I love snap peas. That brings up a good point. Snacking on snap peas is an excellent, healthy snack. It's good dipped in hummus or just by itself. I love them. They have a nice little sweetness to them. Okay, so while those peas are kind of coming up to a simmer, the next thing we'll do is get our salmon done. So we're going to use a skillet of whatever kind you have. So let's head over to the stove and we'll get this in the pan. So I'm going to turn this on to about a medium heat. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of oil in here. There is a lot of healthy fat in salmon, so you don't need a ton of oil to cook it in. But with this cast iron skillet, I don't want it to stick too much, so I am going to add a little bit of oil in here. And I'm using an olive oil. And for this dish, of course, if you don't like salmon or you don't have salmon, you could do any kind of fish that you have on hand. You could do any protein. You could do chicken, pork, beef, whatever you want. And we'll go ahead and lay these salmon fillets in here. Looks like I can only fit 2 at a time. I'm give my hands a quick rinse here. What can we do to quiet them up? We'll give them a treat. Hopefully I'm not reinforcing barking behavior. Okay. So while this pan is coming up to heat and starting the salmon, we can go ahead and start seasoning this one side of the salmon. We can do a little bit of salt and pepper on here. We can do a little squeeze of lemon if you like. Or, which I didn't put on the ingredients list, but something that I'm kind of really just feeling like having tonight is balsamic vinegar. I don't know if you've ever had balsamic vinegar glazed salmon, but it's really, really delicious. And so what we can do is just add that into the pan right now if you want to. If you're planning on doing lemon, just go ahead and cut your lemon in half, squeeze it over your salmon, and let it cook in that lemon. Let's see here. Oh yeah. It's also going to give it a nice little color too. And as balsamic vinegar cooks, because there are some naturally occurring sugars in balsamic vinegar, not a lot, but there are some, you might burn them, so they might kind of harden and stick to the bottom of your pan and look like burnt bits, but just know that's the balsamic vinegar. Okay, a little bit of pepper too on this. And salmon does not need a ton of time to cook. Oh yeah. Ooh. Do we have any pea lovers? Let me check. Did anybody answer that? Any peas? Any peas? Hey Doug, puppies love salmon. Yes, they do. Kiki's food is actually salmon based. Yes, we actually have 4 cameras. Ooh, super fancy, right? Lindsay, I'm having snap peas with tuna. So basically what you're making just on the go. Totally. I feel like you, Jennifer, and I do this all the time, where we cook something and then you ended up cooking something similar at home, but not really knowing what I was cooking here, and vice versa. Us dietitians, we're just always on the same wavelength. Okay. I am going to use this lemon again in the peas in just a second. So I am going to roll this out and cut it. I like to roll it out just to get the juices flowing in the lemon and make it a little bit easier to squeeze all that juice out. So cut this in half and get my handy dandy juicer out, and I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice in the peas right now. This is going to add a little bit of freshness to the peas, but it's also going to help prevent the peas from getting too brown. If you've ever noticed, if you cook green things for too long, they get to be a very dark green color. And we just want to keep that bright green color. So we're going to add a little bit of acid in there. Okay, this looks good. And that salmon smells amazing. Lisa, how is your salmon doing? Oh, so good. Okay, so right now we're kind of multitasking, right? We're gonna watch our peas, we're gonna watch our salmon. Most important thing with the salmon is we just don't wanna burn it. If you look on the side of your salmon, you can see about halfway up, it's starting to look opaque. So it's really cooking through and looking very nice. At that point, we can flip it. So I'm gonna give this just another minute or two and let it cook before I flip it. But my peas are looking pretty good. They're looking nice and cooked. So what I'm gonna do here is turn the heat off and we're gonna get to pureeing the peas. You can do this one of two ways. You can dump your peas into a blender and blend them all up. Go ahead and do that if you're doing that method or using that method, or you can use what's called an emulsion blender or a stick blender. And it's basically just 2 parts and it's a blender on the bottom there. And so it's just easy because you don't have as much cleanup. That's why I really like the immersion blender. Okay, so I'm gonna just stick this in here and blend away. And if you are using a regular blender, once your peas are all pureed and you've got it to the right thickness or consistency that you want, go ahead and return it back to your pot and put it on a low heat. Oh yeah, this is looking good. I can tell I didn't add too much liquid, which is good, but I am gonna just keep pureeing this until I get all those peas smushed up. It looks so pretty. And all that garlic, you want to make sure you get all that garlic in there. Now if your mixture gets too thick, go ahead and add a little bit more stock. If it's way too thin, you could cook it down to try to evaporate some of that liquid off the top, or you could add more peas and try that. I think I am going to add just a touch more liquid to this. Just a little bit, maybe like a tablespoon or 2. Okay. And before I continue this, I'm going to go ahead and flip that salmon. Oh yeah. Got a nice little char on it. Look at that. I love cooking in the cast iron skillet. Hi Gina, good to see you. Doug is asking how many minutes aside on the salmon. I do about 3 to 4, maybe closer to 3 minutes on the salmon, and my salmon is really only about half of an inch thick. So of course it's going to depend on the thickness of your salmon, but I like using that visual, whereas if you can look at the side of the salmon and see if it looks opaque towards the bottom, then you know that it's done. Flip it over and cook it. Or you can just cook it, kind of use a rule of thumb, 2 minutes on each side, and then just keep flipping it over every 2 minutes until it's done. Lindsay, only the coolest dietitians are on our wavelength. Totally. And Lisa is saying her salmon is looking good. Awesome. I'm so excited, Lisa, that you're cooking with me. You must love peas if you're cooking with me. All right, this looks good. So I'm gonna call all of this. I'm gonna turn my pan off, especially with a cast iron skillet. It'll stay hot for a while, so you can turn it off a few minutes before you think you're even done cooking, because it's gonna continue to cook on there. Then this guy, I'm going to give it a little taste and see if it needs anything. See if it needs any more seasoning, like a little salt or pepper, any more chicken base or veggie base. Ooh, that's good. Oh my gosh. I could eat mashed peas like mashed potatoes. So good. It's a healthy replacement for mashed potatoes. There's a lot more fiber in there. Okay, I'm gonna grab a plate and we're gonna start plating this. What we'll do first is put some peas here at the bottom. We're gonna get a little fancy tonight with the plating because we can. Okay, and then I'm gonna come over here and we're gonna do a little bit of our arugula on the side. So this is sort of like a small, kind of like a side salad almost. And we're gonna dress it a little bit before we move on. So use your lemon to just sprinkle or squeeze a little bit of lemon on top, or you can dress it with anything that you feel like dressing it with, like a vinegar. A little bit of lemon. And we're gonna do a little bit of olive oil and a pinch of salt. When y'all eat salads at restaurants and they taste so good and you're like, why do salads taste so good out at restaurants? It's because they add a little bit of salt to the lettuce. Brings out the natural flavor of everything, so do that at home every now and then. And because this is a very simple meal, we want to make sure that every component on our dish is packed with flavor, and that's one way to do it. All right, a little drizzle of olive oil here. Oop, a little heavy. It's okay. Okay, and then let's put our salmon right on top. And you know what? I am going to cut these in half because these are pretty large. Ugh, it just looks so beautiful. I'm just flipping it to see what side looks prettier. And just lay it right on top like that. And there you have it. Very simple, but very delicious. Pan-seared salmon, a little balsamic vinegar on it, pureed peas, and arugula, simply dressed with lemon juice, olive oil, and salt. A nice spring meal, because spring is coming, I promise you. And a quick word on omega-3s in the salmon. So you've probably heard that omega-3s are found in salmon, and salmon is an excellent source of omega-3 fats. Omega-3s are important for heart health, brain health, they're good for our skin, and they help to reduce inflammation in our body. But I did want to highlight a few other sources of omega-3s that you can see here. So tuna is another fish. It's those cold water fatty fish. They're going to have those omega-3s. Mackerel is also one of them. Sardines also. I don't know, does anybody here eat sardines? Y'all like sardines? I have a container of them in my pantry because I want to try them. I want to like them, but I'm just not sure what to eat them with at the moment. So I'm working on that. But then the foods on the bottom there, those are plant sources of omega-3s. So you can see there you've got some canola oil and some other oils are going to be rich in omega-3s. Walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. If you're vegetarian or vegan, these are excellent sources of omega-3s. But I will say that our body does absorb omega-3s from animal foods a lot better. So if you are vegetarian or vegan and you're depending on those plant foods for your omega-3s, you're really going to want to focus on getting much more of them during your day. So really focus on adding, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds at least twice a day into your diet, just to make sure that you're hitting all those appropriate levels of omega-3s. So I'm going to give this a quick little taste and let you know how it is. These peas are just calling my name. I love salmon so much, and the peas are delicious. They're so creamy and flavorful. It's very simple flavors too. It's not, you know, anything crazy, and it was super simple to throw together. So I would love to know if you guys make this and what you think. Let me see. We've got some people. Oh, I can't really see it, but okay. Well, I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope everybody, oh, here we go. Oh, Janet is saying it looks so good. It is delicious. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up. Let me know if you make it. Cookwithme.tv is where you can find the recipe. But like I said, I'm here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central. I stream live to Cook With Me TV's Facebook page as well as Peoria Life's Facebook page, and you can also watch this on replay on Peoria TV channel 17 if you have i3 broadband. So lots of places to find it. I hope that you cook along with me next week. Keep an eye out on Monday. I'll be releasing what ingredients you need to actually cook along with me. So go ahead and shop and get those ingredients, and then tune in right here Wednesday at 6 p.m. and follow along with me. It's a fun and easy way to get a healthy meal on the table in under 30 minutes. All right, thanks y'all so much for tuning in. I will see you next time. Have a great weekend.